Well, howdy there, pipe pals. Let's see if we can get this going here just a little bit better. Okay. Well, greetings and happy Halloween. Happy All Hallows Eve to all of you. Yes, Old Holy Smoking. Pipe Padre here. And I hope you like my little attempt at a Halloween mask. So anyway, hope you're doing well. So I've got my Halloweeny pipe here. It is, and I'm smoking in it some delicious caramel apple. Caramel apple. I don't know if you can see that or not. Caramel apple. Got that at the Briar Patch, of course. And delicious, wonderful. And I also have a cup of nice autumnal coffee right here to go with it. Sometimes I just I get overwhelmed with just life, and I know that I haven't probably made a video in probably about 3 weeks since my last one, and so I just thought I would just try to just make it simple today, share a few things that are going on with yours truly. And just share a pipe with you all. Hoping you're all doing really well. So with that being said, what do I want to talk about in this video? Well, first of all, the weather has been really gotten. Let's see. Can you see this? I'll see if I can go over here. See if you can see. If you can. So it looks like I'm wearing a monk's habit, and I guess you could say that's what it is. And many religious groups. There's Franciscans and Dominicans and Trappists and Vincentians and other religious groups. Anyway, I'm wearing. So somebody asked me today, what am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be like a Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Saint Francis, And I told them I'm going as a piece of sugar-free candy. And they said, what? Sugar-free candy? And again, if you're not a Catholic, you probably won't get this one. And I said, yeah, I'm a caramel light. Da-dum-dum. Okay. So if you're a Catholic, you probably got that play on words. Carmelite. Caramel light. Sugar-free candy. Okay? Never explain a joke, I know. Okay. So, anyway, so I'm here just making this video, obviously, on Halloween. It's a Halloween afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon. Beautiful autumnal afternoon. One of my favorite words in the whole English language. Autumn is the perfect time to smoke a pipe. I think autumn and pipe smoking were meant for each other. So anyway, why am I here today? Well, today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Last week, both Microsoft and Apple came out with some of their new products.
Oddly feels really natural, and it's nice to see Microsoft coming.
So that was really in kind of unique that this new Surface Studio came out, and you know, to say it's not impressive, I would be totally disingenuous. But again, it was quite an interesting piece of hardware. One of my first questions is that little puck or dial thing, would it actually work maybe with either a Cintiq or an Intuos, or probably a Cintiq, because Cintiq is actually a real drawing tablet, and or a iPad Pro, one of those things could work with those devices. I strongly doubt it, but again, just a question in my mind at this point. But the thing is that a lot of people are kind of like going ooh and ah at this Surface Studio. And again, it's quite impressive looking. Again, I don't know exactly if it would be something that, again, and there you're already saying this, will average consumers who are looking for a desktop, will they be able to, would they upgrade to that? Would they buy that? Again, so it got a kind of a steep entry level, over $3,000. But if you are a graphic designer, and again, I don't know about video editing. Again, it would probably be, obviously, it would be Adobe Premiere for video editing. Maybe Microsoft Movie. I guess it would run Microsoft Movie. But anyway, hold on a second. I need to get a pipe cleaner. Yeah, so anyway, they came out with that Surface Studio, and again, it's very, very unique, impressive in many ways. They're kind of saying, well, gosh, you know, what happened to Apple? You know, Apple comes out with, you know, a new MacBook Pro, and although it's a refresh of the MacBook Pro, and it certainly looks good, it looks stable, it doesn't seem to have the pizzazz and the wow factor, again, that Apple products used to have, you know, just a few years ago. The innovation, quote unquote, that word seems to be kind of slipping from the Apple side and kind of moving over to the Microsoft side. And you know, I have to say that in some ways, I've thought quite a bit about this. You know, what's happening with Apple? How come they've lost their innovative edge? And to be honest with you, you know, I think that there's a couple of reasons for that. And one of the things is that right now, whether you like it or not, Apple's kind of at the top of the heap right now in the market. People certainly prefer Apple products over Microsoft products. That's not to say that Microsoft products aren't competitive now. Of course they are. But people still, you know, they still got that brand name mystique to it. You know, it has that labeling. It's that branding that, you know, I want an Apple product if, you know, if I can have one. You know, it's kind of an ego factor, I guess, for some people. And if you're going to sport a piece of technology that's going to be fashionable, quote unquote, you know, Apple seems to still have that mystique to it, that appeal, that Apple peel to it. So anyway, but I was been thinking about this, and the problem is that what Apple's doing, instead of, you know, advancement type things, you know, innovative kind of things, what they're doing now is, because they're on top, it's sort of like when you're in a football game in the World Series. If you're ahead and you're going into the fourth quarter, and as long as you don't screw up, some sports teams think, well, we'll just wait, we'll just sit the clock out, we'll wait the clock out, and we'll win by basically, you know, virtue of, you know, not messing up. Sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't, and I think that's Apple's kind of strategy right now. I mean, it's sort of like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there's, in other words, they have a formula. I mean, I hate to say it, and I like Apple products. I like, you know, there are some things though about Apple that I'm a little disappointed in. I won't go into that now, but they're kind of more of a political, philosophical thing. But I'm gonna give them some gratis there. I'm gonna give them some grace on that one. But anyway, so they, you know, they have a formula that works. You know, all their keynotes are the same. I mean, they have little playful little things, and they have creative little advertisements about their newest products and all. But it's a recipe book. It's a playbook. It's this is how we sell things. This is how we market things. And the problem is that they have a formula that so far works for them. Okay, and right now, you know, they are kind of pretty much the top dog still, even though they're, again, some people are seeing that they're a little lackluster now. I think there's no doubt about that. But they're still on top, and you got to be, you know, you got to think, okay, how do we stay on top? Okay, you know, we have innovated. You know, again, what else can the market do? You know, I mean, unless you started coming up with truly like three-dimensional holograph, you know, projections where you turn on your iPad or your thing, and it actually is a holographic kind of an image that comes out that you can actually you know, touch sensitive, where you can interact with that, you know, with actually in a three-dimensional world. Well, that would probably be something that's truly innovative. I mean, again, I know they're doing this Oculus Rift stuff and all this other 3D stuff, and again, that just doesn't seem to really be, you know, it had a lot of promise, a lot of potential. Maybe it still does, but it's just not there yet. Who knows what the next real innovation is going to be? And again, Apple doesn't create things, but what it does is it synthesizes a lot of the technology, and it's like it distills the things that are really, really good, and somehow, with their design factor, their function factor, they say, okay, how can we make this appeal to a human hand or a human experience? Okay, that's where they've kind of always taken the technology to make it really more human than mechanical. When Steve Jobs was able to really kind of figure that out, and he left kind of a recipe that these guys have been following for the last 5 years. It still works, but yeah, it's starting to get a bit dated, because, you know, almost every Apple presentation is pretty much the same. You've seen one Apple keynote, you've seen them all. I hate to say that again, they're very predictable. There is no more, oh, and one more thing kind of thing. That those days right now are gone, or maybe they'll come back. But the thing is that, again, two things. One, for Apple to be truly innovative, what would they have to do? This is a question I want to ask people. What would Apple have to do to be truly innovative? Well, what they would have to do is, believe it or not, kind of like what Steve Jobs did when he came back. He scrapped a whole bunch of their product line. He said, okay, we're only going to focus on these 2 or 3 things, and that's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to make those things the best they've ever been. And that's what Steve Jobs did. I mean, Apple used to have a lot of products before he came back, and a lot of them was just garbage. So what would Apple have to really do? Well, they'd have to risk. They'd have to go back to those days of risking, you know, being really hungry to really create things that people really wanted, instead of staying with the safe, tried and true, which is what they're doing in their playbook now. And the other thing I was thinking about Apple was, you know, back when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were, you know, kind of those glory days, which are certainly gone now, but they were all young people. And to some extent, you can even say Bill Gates was part of that Silicon generation. But it was a young man's game. Well, if you look at Apple today, I don't have anything against Tim Cook and Phil Schiller and Craig Federighi or whatever his name is, you know, but they're middle-aged guys. I'm talking because I'm one of them. They're old guys, you know. Now, again, that might sound like age discrimination, and I don't mean it to be, but the problem is that Apple had always been seen as this young, upstart kind of, we're so hungry, we're going to do these daring and great things. And they did. But now we've got middle-aged guys who, you know, for whatever reason, they're playing it safe. And so, you know, again, Microsoft may be starting to move into the more innovative thing, although to say that the Surface Studio is some, you know, innovative piece of technology is, well, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it's certainly an interesting piece of technology. Innovative, probably not, but interesting, absolutely. Would I like to play with one? Sure, absolutely. But one of the things that I have to say in defense of Apple products is one of the things that they are really, at least right now, committed to, and I'm kind of grateful actually, is that they really want all of their products to interface with all of the other products. They want iOS to interface with Mac OS X, and two of the things that I have to say I really have grown really fond of in my computing day in life, and I'll be using them today. I'm a Final Cut Pro 10 user. I wouldn't say I'm a power user, although it's a professional app, and I do some fun and interesting things from time to time in some of my videos. I only just scratched the surface with Final Cut Pro 10, but it's got a lot of really cool features. You have to find them, but they're there, and they just upgraded Final Cut Pro 10 again. I'm a little bit frustrated with that, but I think I did do a little dry run last week to kind of say, okay, they moved all the buttons again, and they did, but I think I'll be okay. I think it's intuitive enough that I've figured out all the things that I still need to do, so I don't have to like panic. Like, where do they put the import for media button? You know, I found it. It's okay. Relax. Everything's okay. But the two things that I really like, one of them is a new feature where you can marry up your desktop with the cloud. Now, I know some people don't like cloud because of security reasons and things like that, but I got the MacBook, I got the MacBook, yes, but I got the Mac Pro a couple of months ago, as you may recall. Again, it hasn't been refreshed in almost 3 years, a little over 1,000 days. A lot of people were really disappointed last week that the Mac Pro didn't get any love. Well, Still a great little machine. I love it. I call it the Darth Vader Mac. But my only problem with it, because I got the entry level one, was that it only has 256 gigs of RAM solid state memory, which is really not that good. I wish I had gotten, I'm hoping that eventually we'll be able to buy upgrade flash drives that we can actually put in it and upgrade them. There was some talk that that was coming. And actually I think with Otherworld Computing you can do that. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, but two of the things, one of them is that now you actually have a virtual desktop in the cloud, and so what it does, it takes the files, a lot of your files, and just puts them on the cloud. So it really stores up a lot of memory for rendering on your machine. So I was running out of memory really fast. So I'd have to just basically do 1 or 2 projects and then purge everything and then get ready for the next project. And that's all fine, but I was starting to run into problems, especially when I was trying to do 4K video. So anyway, that's one thing, you know, this kind of uploading to the cloud. You kind of have a virtual desktop and you don't have to, you know, waste a lot of your disk space just on files and things, which is, I really like that. Very delicious tobacco. Okay, and then the other thing, I know it's an older feature, but I just now have gotten into using it a lot because now it's a lot more reliable and a lot more speedy, is AirDrop. Sorry, AirDrop. I'm filming this on my iPhone 7 Plus, and when I'm done with the video, all I got to do is just send it through AirDrop to my Mac, and it's done. I don't have to hook up the phone anymore. I don't have to, you know, put a cable on it. I don't have to do anything like that. I just send it through AirDrop, and within a couple minutes, it's there. It does fantastic stuff, whether it's pictures, video, audio. Who needs cables? You know, again, I remember a couple months ago I talked about, you know, lamenting, you know, the passing of FireWire. Well, FireWire in its day was pretty awesome piece of technology. But I probably can upload or I can probably download this video to my computer through AirDrop a whole lot faster than FireWire ever could have done. Anyway, the bottom line is that that's a really great feature, and again, because of the integrated ecosystem in Apple products, they allow you to do that. So I like that. I really do like that. But anyway, so I was just kind of intrigued last week. I don't know if I'm going to get the MacBook Pro. I probably will. To be honest, I probably will. But we'll see. I got to be honest with you, I wasn't all that wowed by the new MacBook, but anyway, it's a nice piece of machinery. It's going to be, it's, you know, it's well crafted. You know, it's wonderful. I mean, they do a great job. You know, again, that you get a quality product. Going to be a little pricey, I know, but still, it's something that I will use in video editing. So anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that, and then the last thing, excuse me, I'll talk about, it's a little more political. Some of you, and I have a few of you who listen in Canada, so how's all my Canadian friends north of the border? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying warm and smoking a lot of good pipes up there. Maybe some of you, if you get a chance to Google Professor Jared, I think it's Jared Peterson, Professor Jared Peterson, or is either Professor Jerome Peterson or Professor Jared Peterson at the University of Toronto. You know, I've been talking a lot about in many of my videos this whole idea of debate, civil debate, and basically being able to voice your opinions, even if other people disagree. And I think one of the things that I've kind of talked about, and my concern is that, and again, it was my understanding for maybe the last year or so, that, you know, it's like we seem to be moving in a really weird direction where free speech is no longer tolerated. You know, if you have an opinion that goes contrary to what the quote-unquote political correct is, not only are you told that we disagree with you, but we don't even want to let you even say your opinion. You can't do that. In fact, there's a move to maybe outlaw people for having opinions that if they're divergent from the politically correct mindset, you can either get fined and even go to prison. And this is very, 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 very scary. We should all be concerned about it. So anyway, Dr. Jared Peterson has some videos out there. He's quite a very erudite, articulate professor. And I am getting acquainted with a lot of his work. So, but I was just intrigued that he was trying to stand up for free speech, and unfortunately, a lot of militant students were shouting him down, and even got kind of physical, and to some point in one of the rallies got violent with some of the people who were on the other side of the argument. So, again, as I look at these things, and as you look at these things, sometimes, you know, you might think, well, maybe that's my take. Maybe that's the way I see things. But I am seeing that this is not something that I'm just kind of like, you know, making up in my own mind, or the way I interpret my reality and, you know, reality in general. This is really happening, that free speech is really coming under attack. And I'm hoping that people that at least watch my videos will say, you know, you got a point there, and we need to protect our freedom of speech. Without freedom of speech, we will no longer have the society that we have grown to know and love. Even though it's imperfect, even though there are problems, the moment that we can no longer stand up and respectfully disagree, then that's the day that we are really going to be in some serious, serious trouble. There's an old saying that when they came for the Jews, I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. When they came for the Poles, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Pole. When they came for the gypsies, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a gypsy. Finally, they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak for me. So again, we have to be careful that we preserve our freedoms, because they're being eroded as we speak, and we have to be very careful that we are able to stand and defend them, because again, even though we may disagree, we can do so hopefully in a civil, respectful manner. And that's what I'm all about. And so if hopefully you feel the same way. So anyway, again, so if you say, well, what does that got to do with anything? Well, again, you know, we're talking about things like Microsoft versus Apple. We're talking about, you know, paper or plastic. We're talking about black and white. You know, I mean, you know, sometimes people are either on either side of the argument. And as long as you respect the other person, even though you doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It doesn't mean you have to, you know, go out and, you know, and go to drinks with them. But at the same time, again, that's what makes our world, or at least our countries, Canada and the United States, great, is that we have this thing called free speech. At least we used to. We still do to some extent. But again, it seems to be being attacked. It seems to be being denied. And that's something we need to take a look at and say, you know what, for better or for worse, you know, I'm grateful we do have the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, as we call it here in the US of A. Okay, anyway, so happy Halloween to all of you. Again, I know this wasn't the most exciting and entertaining Halloween video that I put up. You might want to check out a couple of videos a couple of years ago. I got really creative one year and did a kind of a Halloween intro. It was kind of a lot of fun. Kind of wearing one of these masks, I think, you know. So anyway, so today is Halloween, All Hallows Eve later. Hope you have a great All Saints Day tomorrow, All Souls Day on the 2nd of November. And so God bless you, and may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you his peace. We'll see you later now. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Amen. Happy Halloween.